All right, it is Parallel Frequencies. I am Just Blane, and this is Coco.
Shout out to the freaks out there.
That's right, to our freaks. To the freak. That's our fan club. You go? Are we rolling with that? I think we have to.
Yeah, there were some other ideas we threw around, but then we were like, FREQ. Those are our freaks.
We're gonna make shirts. We're gonna have the logo here. This is a Ride the Wave shirt, actually.
Yeah.
Which is
I've got
the network. Yeah, this is the network that we are on. But we're gonna get shirts made that has the Parallel Frequencies logo, and it's gonna say "I'm a freak" on the sleeves. I think people would buy those. I think
I would. I'm definitely a freak in every sense of the word. But
same here. Maybe we'll get some that don't even have the logo. Maybe the logo's on the sleeve, and it just says "I'm a freak." All caps right here, though. Freak. Man, that's going to be a hot seller. That's going to be on everybody's Christmas list for 2026. Stocking stuffers or something, you know?
Like, hi, you heard it here first.
We got to get that out there. You know how you know you made it big? Is when people start impersonating you or trying to be that country's version of you. Let me give you an example. There's a huge streamer out there, I Show Speed. And that's his name, I Show Speed. He's got different versions of him popping up. He's got the Nigerian I Show Speed popping up. They're following him around. They're streaming with him. I will know I have made it when the Nigerian version of Just Blane pops up out there. You know, cowboy hat. It's over there. Cowboy hat. What else do I wear? Whatever it is. And talks like this. That's what I can't wait to happen. The Nigerian Just Blane. That would be awesome.
Well, you remember when I showed up at the farmer's market that one time we were covering it and I decided to dress up like you? Glasses, hat, hair pulled back. I had my sweats on, my Ride the Wave t-shirt. I was like, who am I? Who am I? Look. Didn't know if you'd be offended or flattered at that point, but it could go either way.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. That is a true fact. I don't think there's any way around that. I mean, I thought it was great. I took a picture. I laughed.
We'll have to put that.
You didn't even really know me
that on
well.
Our social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't know me that well back then. That's funny. That's too much. What are you watching these days? What'd you watch over the weekend?
Man, just, you know, one of those kind of weekends where you're just in your cozy clothes like I'm in right now and watching whatever. And we stumbled upon The Impossible Castle about a couple named Daphne and Ian who are renovating a French chateau, a castle that she inherited from her grandfather. It's so fun and so frustrating to watch because it's a 500-year-old castle they're trying to renovate. But that's one of those things you just put on and then you play Sudoku while you're watching it. It's just super fun. And then we were watching the 2026 HGTV Dream Home, which for years I always entered the sweepstakes to win the Dream Home or the Smart Home that they have every year. And we watched it a little differently though. We like to watch it. And while they're taking this tour around and when they're showing you like samples of colors or what they're going to do with the countertops or what chandelier they're going to hang in whatever part of the house. I like to talk to the TV the whole time and pretend like they're designing my house because that's going to be my house when I win it. Right. So I'll be like, ew, don't love that backsplash. But I love those trim colors. So cute. Yep, leave that. Don't love that rug. We can get rid of that. And I talk to them as if they're my designers for my house.
As you should. I mean, speak it into existence, right? Like, isn't that how it works?
And yeah, you guys can apply. Those of you listening, you can go ahead and try to enter that sweepstakes. You can do your best, but just know it's already my lake house. I've already got it in my mind.
Coco's Lake House. We'll be filming the podcast from there. We're going to put a studio in there. Yep. I can't wait for the Parallel Frequencies. I can't wait to have the freaks come visit us.
Yeah.
At the studio on the lake. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be wild. I got to watch, you know how I love Joe Bob. It was Joe Bob Briggs' last drive-in, and he did a movie called Don't Go Into the Woods Alone. And it's exactly what you think. Bunch of campers go out into the woods and get slaughtered, basically.
As you do.
It's from the 80s, movie from the 80s. But these, Coco, now these weren't just any woods. I started watching, I was like, wait a minute, this looks familiar. And as Joe Bob is showing it, the movie and talking about it, it's the Wasatch Mountains. It's right here in our backyard. That's where they filmed the movie. A guy named James Bryan directed a movie way back in the 80s. I think the only other things this guy did was, I think he worked on a couple of Nightmare on Elm Streets. He did some softcore porn. Not much else. That was it. In this movie here. I was all in on this movie. And I don't know if it was, I don't think it's because the movie's good. It's not good. But I believe it's because the scenery looks, it's recognizable. So I think me and you should head out there one day to the Wasatch Mountains and find where they shot this movie and see if it still looks the same.
There's got to be a reason why so many horror movies and so many creepy settings are right here in our own backyard.
Yeah.
We just have a lot of creepy vibes, a lot of great locations for filming stuff like that here.
I doubt it's the tax credits, right? Can't be that. It's not people wanting to save money. It's got to be, no. That's exactly what it is. But no, we do have super creepy or out of the ordinary types of environments here, I also watched Stephen King's The Long Walk. I caught that.
Mm-hmm.
That one I had to sit up for. I was not expecting a movie where literally they walk for the entire damn movie to be as interesting and entertaining as it was. The acting was incredible. I'm talking about these guys talking to each other. It was like, man, this feels real. It feels like they know each other. But do you know the premise for this movie?
No, but as you're talking about, what movie did you watch? Oh, this is a movie that just walked the entire movie. I'm thinking about my dad seeing a Broadway musical and people asking him, what was it like? Was it good? And he was like, no, they just stacked furniture for 2 hours as he's talking.
Gosh.
That's what it made me think.
Hilarious. That's about what this was. That's real close, but it was character driven. And you know what's funny about The Long Walk movie? They actually did a screening of it back in Burbank. And I think they made everybody in there. The only way you can watch the movie is they had treadmills and you had to keep the pace of 3 miles per hour for the entire 90 minutes or whatever to watch the whole movie. I was like, that's awesome.
That's how I watch movies.
Get a workout in.
Why not? Might as well.
Got to work them glutes off, or whatever. Work them in or work them.
Work them out.
Something, I don't know. You can tell how much I work out. You can tell how much I'm into it, but let's get to the meat here because I've been sitting on this one for a while. Pluribus took the world by storm. And we've decided that this is not going to be one of the season overviews. We're just going to break this bad boy down by episodes. So we're going to start right here. Season 1, Episode 1, Pluribus, Apple TV Plus. If you don't have Apple TV Plus, you probably don't have an iPhone or you're not a Mac person. But I would suggest getting it because there are some great TV shows on here, Pluribus being one of them. And right out of the gate, I mean, it's Vince Gilligan's name on there. And we know Vince Gilligan from Breaking Bad. He's done some other stuff you're familiar with.
But yeah, saw that he involved in the X-Files, which when you watch the show, that's not surprising at all.
Not at all. I wonder if he had anything to do with that show Fringe too. Remember that one?
Yeah,
That
throwback.
was like kind of an X-Files. I don't want to say knockoff, but because it was pretty good, and usually knockoffs are not, but it was very X-File-ish. But Pluribus, let's talk about the name for a second. Pluribus, as in out of many, because that's what it means. Out of many. So identity isn't singular anymore. we're not going to spoil this whole season. So I'm going to try to tiptoe around some of the stuff we say. But you can see a lot of this stuff right up front. But I just want to say that, like, it's not subtle about a lot of the things that it's doing. This whole show overall does make you feel uncomfortable. It's not here to tuck you in and make you feel warm and cozy. It's not your warm and cozy TV show watch, So that's me kind of vibe checking it from the top. What did you think about it after I talked you into it?
Setting the scene. I mean, this is my apology to our audience if you heard us talk about or mention the show, and we're going to get to it. It's always me that needs to find the time and sit down and watch a show and get into it. It was not that it needed any convincing. I absolutely wanted to see it. I knew it was going to be good no matter what. But to set the scene, like you said, to set the vibe for people who maybe this is them watching just after just episode 1 and you haven't watched the rest yet, that's fine too. It's one of those kind of shows where you don't leave the show, shut it off, and stop thinking about it. It's one of those that you could have discussions and debates about with the people who watched it with you. You could sit and, much like Severance, it had that same feeling. Like, oh, we could sit and talk about, there's no clear right or wrong here. There's nobody that's the good and the bad. It's very much like, oh, well, there's a lot of gray area here. So I'm excited to get into it. I'm excited to get into each episode as we go through it.
That's what we love to do here on Parallel Frequencies. Follow us, by the way, at Parallel Frequencies Daily. But we love to get into the gray area because it's not all black and white. And this show definitely isn't black and white, although you feel like it is at times. You're like, oh, no, hell no. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, maybe. Yeah, hell yeah. Like, you go from one opposite to the other real quick, The opening scene, we got the book tour. And I really look at this and think that this scene sets the tone for this whole thing because it's not about the books. Sure, the Blood Song of Vaccaro bleeds into the plot, kind of, but this scene is about distance, She's already emotionally detached from the thing people love her for,
Yeah.
Like, that sucks. Success can get real loud, really loud when you're burnt out, and that's where she's at, So that's what the opening scene to me was, this, showing who Carol is. She's thriving off the energy, the validation of the crowd. But she also looks like she's allergic to the whole damn thing, Like, she don't want to be there. She's done. She's burnt. She's fried. And I've seen that. I can tell the look of a fried person in the creative world. She's got it,
She's masking a little bit of what she has to look like to be a public figure. For me personally, someone who is an aspiring author, I always wanted to be a writer. I've always thought that the career of a writer and the actual work of being a writer is just kind of top level creativity. And as somebody who very much enjoys a good romantasy novel, big fan of the ACOTAR series and the Fourth Wing series, and all my book talk girls know what I'm talking about. We love our book boyfriends. And, for her to be an author like that, it's exciting to watch. Like, oh, it would be so cool to have lines of people that read your work, love your work. And then there's kind of this feeling, at least for me, where I'm like, why doesn't she love it? Isn't this what she's doing with her life? Doesn't she know how lucky she is that she got to publish her work and that people love it this much? And then yet you can already sense this feeling of like, she's like, yeah, as soon as she gets into the taxi cabin, or the Uber driver is like, oh, you must be a big deal or something. Or, have I read anything that you've written? And she's like, if you like crap.
Yeah. Right there, though, her cynicism is not being cruel. It's like her armor. It's like how she defends whatever. It's survival for her, I think the opening scene and then the Uber ride, it's really showing us that the split it's already there. The split, I don't want to get too crazy and tell you what split we get, but the split's already there before anything weird even happens between her and people, and in that car ride, she's just trying to keep it light, optimistic, and didn't work because he pries in, and that's when she gets in with those comments, so yeah, I think the car ride really sets up even more of what's going on in her head. Like, you can see it all going, and she's going through the motions, but you can see it all just going to hell, really. And she should be happy and successful. I know people who are in jobs who, others would kill for to be in, and they are miserable. I have been in one of those positions before. I won't say where or when or, but
not
I've
call
been in those
anybody out.
positions.
Okay.
But no, I know how it is to be at the top of the top in your industry and then be burnt out, not care.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It does. It really sucks because somewhere in you, you're still trying to give in the entertainment world. You're still trying to give that viewer, that listener, that reader an experience. So I felt her
And do
pain
you
a
get
little
the
bit.
sense that Helen, so I didn't catch that they were partners, lovers, and because it kind of just shows her as an employee at first. I mean, you kind of get the sense that she works for her. She's the one that like switches the books at the airport from the bottom shelf to the top shelf for her because she does a little nod, like an assistant. So you're just kind of like, oh yeah, okay, they've worked together for a long time, they know each other. But when you kind of get a clearer idea that, oh, they're together, I don't know about you, but I got this sense of like, that's really hard on Helen to be around that kind of pessimism and negativity. And, it's hard, I'm sure.
It takes a balance. Like, you got to find, and there's people out there like Carol. She's not just a one-off written character. There's nobody in the world like her. There's people who are like that, and yeah, it's a balance. That's a yin and yang. If you're a Carol, find your Helen, and if you're a Helen, find your Carol, and you might be happy. Like the initial outbreak hits, and people just freeze, like mid whatever they're doing, they freeze. Then they collapse. It's like somebody hit pause on the world, and we find out there's like, what, 800 million dead people in minutes? This is like super dramatic.
Yeah.
Super dramatic if you start thinking about it. It's not a monster's attack. It's just some weird event that, it's like gravity decided to just change its mind, and we all floated. Like, it's not much different than that thought, Like, really it is. It was the apocalypse without the fireworks and the explosions and all that.
Yes.
And it was shocking. It's a shocking scene. And Vince Gilligan, it's once again, going back to everything Vince Gilligan's ever done, is great at this. He's great at being able to give you this subtle idea or thing and it explode and it take over like this. He's great at storytelling. Just like you were mentioning, we didn't know about Helen and Carol being lovers. We don't find that out for a while, I guess, and even how deep it goes, we find out later.
Yeah.
But that's a Vince Gilligan, that's a Breaking Bad 101 storytelling, So, yeah, it's all there. But the outbreak itself shocked me. And then you start hearing the numbers. What did it do for you there? What did you think about that?
I loved my favorite thing about this episode 1 is that we are experiencing this monumental apocalyptic whatever's going on entirely as if we are Carol. Like, we are not getting the clues. We're not getting they did have like the lab scene, which kind of gives you a little bit of a foreshadowing of what's going on. But if you're Carol and this is a worldwide event that happens, we're experiencing it like she would have experienced it. Like, what is happening? I don't really know. Let's see if I can get to a hospital. Wait a minute. Everyone's frozen at the hospital too. I mean, it's being revealed to us little by little, just like it is to her. And I loved that choice because it wasn't like we were getting an entire full picture. So by the time Carol gets back to her house and obviously has seen and witnessed quite a lot of chaos and really overwhelmed and really confused. I mean, even just right before then, when the two kids are outside and are talking to her in a voice together and saying I knew where her hide key was, that's already creating such a, like, wait, what is happening?
Yeah.
But when she turns on the TV, that is like it for me. That was the moment when it was like, whoa, what is happening?
You know, it starts though back with basically the bar scene, and when Helen and Carol are there, that is when you're right. Like we are seeing this and feeling this from Carol's perspective, all the way down to where Helen dies right here at the bar from a head injury, quick, quiet, done. To Carol, the world ends, but only one death is mattering. Only one of them counts.
Yeah.
And it's her. You know, she lost the one person who kept her tethered in any way to any kind of reality. Without a goodbye, no speech, just gone, just drops, you know? And that's kind of maybe where this whole thing starts getting a little cruel, a little mean, and you feel that for Carol, because we are seeing it from her eyes, if you want to say that, you know?
Yeah,
One
real
mind. We're only seeing it
shocking
from one mind.
grief, you know, but also the overwhelmed confusion of what is happening. Why did she die? How did this happen? Why is all this happening? And it's all happening at once. It was all like one bam.
Yeah. And she goes through this crazy confusion, yet the rest of the hive mind, when they wake up, they already know. Like there's no question. They know everything, and no confusion, no nothing. They refer to themselves as we, even when it's one person talking to Carol. It's always we. They just go in, no panic, no grief, none of it. And that's where the black and white is. It's, well, which side are you? That sounds amazing. But wait a minute. Don't I want to keep individuality and stay like Carol? But there's that gray area, you know? You're like, wait a minute. I can see both sides. And that's when I started thinking when I'm watching it, I'm like, this is going to get real sticky.
Yes.
This is going to get real sticky.
Deliciously
and
sticky. I love it. I love the moral and ethical kind of push and pull of this, where, you know, my thought was, well, the entire earth itself would be better off if it wasn't about us humans, and if it was about the collective, if it was more about what was actually good for the planet, we would be better off. But then
we see that. We see that, and it's not spoilers, but the way that they do it, even in this episode and later on in the whole season, is, you know, if they're not using it, they're not using it. They're not going to do it. They're not keeping the lights on to keep the lights on. Nobody's using them. Turn them off. You know,
right.
so
Yeah. We'll see that as it goes.
The planet Earth would be way better off if everybody was one.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But for episode 1, it's all panic, and it's all heightened emotional. And I loved the turning on the TV and having the guy standing there at the podium, and it says, Carol, if you're watching this, please call this number. You have questions. We want to clear things up for you. And
yeah,
I mean, can you imagine? This first episode specifically, I mean, of course you're asking yourself this in every episode after, of course, but particularly this first episode, did you find yourself asking over and over again, what would I have done in this situation? How would I have reacted?
Absolutely. And went through a whole range of different emotions of what I would be doing, you know, like, sure, I'd go to Vegas and get this and this and this and be doing and live the life. And then there's the other side of it. It's like, man, this would be depressing as hell. I don't know. Like, I'd be lost. I'd be alone. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like
Okay. So
it does start making you think.
would you, first of all, first choice, you just witnessed all the things you witnessed. Your best friend or lover or partner has just died. You've dragged her body back to your own home. You've got yourself locked in the house, so somewhat safe at the moment. You turn on the TV. You think you might find some news or something about what's going on, and it just says your name at the bottom of the screen. Call this number. Do you call the number?
Yeah, I'm a curious person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call the number,
Yeah. You
and
got it.
I'm gonna react a different way after after Davis Taffler, the government official that popped up on the TV, after he tells me this,
This individual.
smiling yeah, smiling a little too much, might I add. Is he not? But
Yeah.
he's the one that tells her about the 800 million dead. After he says that, I'm probably gonna ask for some one of one sports car, and I want to be on a road in the desert or whatever, and I'm probably just gonna go for a drive. Not destructive anyway. Just I'm probably gonna go for a drive and try to clear my head. Like that's
Yeah.
and it's gonna be
Now,
the nicest car I can get. Yeah, it's gonna be to clear my head and think. Now what? Now what do I got to do? You know, and I got to figure out this. I'd have to. Yeah, it really would be like look in and think about it. There's no more menaces. There's no more threats.
yeah.
Just a
Well,
bunch of
and we
calm
don't know that for
exclamations.
sure yet. I mean, it does seem a little, uh, episode one, everything's brand new. This thing, whatever it is, this virus, this plague, this effect, I don't even know what you specifically would call it, but we don't know what it is yet, right? So we're just like, okay, something crazy just happened to everybody. But I want people to note that if they've just watched episode one and they haven't watched anything else yet, you notice how that happy guy, what was his name on the TV?
Davis Taffler. Yeah.
Yeah, this individual's Davis Tafler. Okay, so you get the sense he's real smiley, real happy. And that comes into play later because we look back at the moment that Helen died. And there must have
Mm,
been this moment she had where she did connect to the we, to the us, to the everybody, the hive mind. So she had this moment and she has this look of joy and peace on her face.
yeah.
I think that's really noteworthy because it kind of comes into play later when you ask yourself, just because it brings everybody so much heavenly peace to be a part of something that big and wonderful, does it make it right? Does it make it the right way to be?
Exactly. And that's where the whole thing really comes into. And it's, you know, of course, with other questions like why is Carol immune? I think we find out there's a dozen people, maybe, no danger, because the hive's not aggressive. They can't lie. They just smile at everybody. They can't hide anything,
Yeah.
They give the
They're
truth
so
because they
pleasant.
don't care. They don't care how you feel. They don't care about how you feel. It's not in their one hive mind being or makeup, So it is like at the same time for Carol, it's like, well, why am I the leftover? Why didn't I get picked? Oh, why didn't I get picked? There's different emotion levels that are going to come with all of this that we get to see. And, how did she become immune? We get to see that in the revelation. We don't really get to see why, but she realizes there's other people out there. And what does she do, immediately? What would you do if Davis Taffler popped up on the TV and said, all right, Coco, call this number. And he's the president or whatever, some government official.
Yeah. Well,
What's your
the
first
fact that
thing?
he said, we're gonna recommend that you hunker down in your house for a couple of days while we clear everything out, make things safe for you. And I will say that was reassuring a little bit. I think if it had been me, um, and Carol's personality is very different than mine. So her reaction of being very hostile, very,
Mhm.
terrified and like, she pushes back and she's scared and she hangs up on him. And I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't do any of those things. I have no idea, but I would definitely be like, okay, he told me to stay inside. that feels like the safest thing for me to do anyway, from what I just witnessed, what I just saw. So until I figure out what exactly is going on and I can decipher for myself what's safe, I will probably keep the doors locked. I will hope I have enough food for a couple of days in here with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hunker down.
And
That's what
hunker
I'd be
down.
doing. Yeah.
And hunker down. Like he said, you know, the final scene is Carol facing reality, you know? Standing in her home outside the world is smiling way too much still. They're united and it's functioning. But inside this house, her wife is gone. Her grief is hers alone.
Yeah.
Can't share it with nobody because nobody wants to. You know, like to me, it wasn't really a horror ending. It's a grief ending. But it could be terrifying to see this at the end and start thinking, what if that was me? You know, it didn't, the apocalypse hit and it left the world functioning.
Yeah.
Usually we see it and it's
very different
it's like a
idea.
nuke. Yeah, it's like a nuke or something went off and killed everybody and there's only one person left. There's a TV show, The Last Man Standing or something, and it was a comedy. And it was, you know, same idea, same principles, but exact opposite execution, really, because everybody there was gone. There was only a handful of people left. This is totally different. The world is still there. And you're just like some part of it that really stands out. And at some point, you do have to start thinking, will they become aggressive because I'm standing out? Do they want to absorb all of the 12 of us left? You know, so
Am I a threat to them and their way of life? And what are they going to do if they do see me as a threat? Is kind of questions that came up to me before we really got an idea of, or a sense of what was going on or who this was. Because it's not, you know, they kind of explain it's not really an alien. It's just a signal. And that's, I want to go back to the lab at the beginning, because when we talk about like the spread of this, whatever it was created in a lab based on a frequency. It's kind of like Contact, if you remember that movie where it had the like satellites and they were bringing in the frequency that came from somewhere really far away. It's not as if aliens traveled. It's just a message that traveled. And that kind of begs the question, how much is our own scientific curiosity a huge threat to us? In that what really caused this was that humans realizing that the frequency that they were getting was 4 strands that matches an RNA sequence that they could recreate. And they're like, let's go ahead and do it. Let's just try it out and see on rats what happens. And at first they're getting no results. They're like, yeah, we're getting bupkis. There's nothing, like the rats aren't, you know, showing anything. It's not really giving us anything. Until it does. And then it spreads like wildfire from the rat biting through the glove to the person, to the next person, to the next person. Starts compounding on itself. But otherwise, it was completely Earth made.
Yes.
Right?
Which is wild. Like they've got a plausible idea here, really, if you ask me. We've seen crazier things out there. We've had pandemics in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So it can happen. This is a pandemic on another level. It's a different type of pandemic. Nobody's getting sick. It's not asking us, what if aliens take over? This is checking to see, what if happiness required us to surrender?
Individualism.
Everybody wants to be happy, but yeah, at what cost do you want to be happy? And this show, at the same time, when all those people are together, billions, is still about isolation. Carol is isolated. She's the only one, you know? And it's unsettling.
Yeah.
It's an unsettling thing. It's like you said in the early beginning of this episode, it's one that you sit with and you think about it. You see us sitting here taking a lot of time. I'm saying things and then I'm like, wait a minute. But what if, you know, you're still questioning this, watching it and thinking about it. And that's what great TV does. That's what great storytelling does. That's just, you know, Vince Gilligan again, once again.
Yeah, great
This first episode,
storytelling,
though,
like you said. And it also begs questions like, what if, to your point, living through a pandemic, what if we had more of a hive mind during something like COVID, when that happened? There was so much debate among humans about what was the right way to handle it. What did we need? What do we not want to do? Everyone feeling like, well, I have a choice. I'm not going to let the government dictate how far apart I can be from someone, or whether or not I wear a mask, or there was so much conflict, and there isn't even really a clear side. Even looking back on it, I was like, okay, I'm going to do what I got to do to make sure people are healthy. I'm going to make sure, I will do what I'm asked to do. But then looking back on it, we were also told later, yeah, so possibly wearing masks wasn't as effective as we thought it was. It maybe wasn't necessary. We don't really know. So what if we had had more of a hive mind? What if we had all been able to agree on what was best for the collective, and then have done that? Would it have been safer for everybody?
they never explain this part, as far as I know, and if they do, I missed it. But with all the people in the world becoming one hive mind, where is the evil people? Where are the evil people at? Because they're in there somewhere, right? They have to be.
That's a good question.
They
I'm
have
thinking
to
about
be.
it, and I'm like, becoming a hive mind gave such, it's like all of the collective wisdom of every person alive on the planet in that exact moment gave them clarity about what was right or wrong, which we find out later. Then decisions are made as far as whether or not they will kill animals, whether or not they will,
Yeah,
what influence they actually will put upon the earth itself, the plants and the animals, for their own survival. So if as a collective whole they become so agreed in one aspect of, we will not feed ourselves this way, it begs, it just, there's so much moral questioning about then what is evil, and what is right, and what
yeah.
is wrong, and is there such a thing?
And so real life application of this, like if you take that, let's just say the hive mind of the United States, which we know is chaotic, and I'm not going to get into too many politics.
We would be
We
so
don't do that here.
psychotic.
Yeah, we don't do that here. We're not talking about politics. That's not us. If you want political shows, there's plenty of those out there. But if you took the United States right now and put them all into a hive mind, because some people say, we're pretty split, 50-50. Which 50-50, like where does
Where would
5149
it
take
go?
over and make it the right way? That's a big question to me, just sitting there thinking about it. And I get, if whatever, you could still be a meat eater, but we're not going to kill the animals. Like there's differences in some of the stuff. But yeah, I think that's going to have to be addressed in later episodes, later seasons. There's got to be evil minds or disagreeable minds in there, and how do they become agreeable in that hive mind? I hope they do dig into
because
that.
that's the idea we're
Yeah.
given, is that it's in a complete agreed upon way of life, earth wide. Every mind and every body becomes an us, in that everyone is completely completely agreed on what is the right way to live and what's the wrong way to live. So there's no more war, and there's no more argument, even conflict within individuals. There's none of that anymore, because they've all become they've all become a psychedelic, not psychedelic, psychic glue that holds them all together.
It'd probably be pretty psychedelic too, I think. I think there would be some psychedelic aspects to becoming a hive mind and being, having access to everybody's mind at one time. This first episode, it hit hard. It hits really hard, and it's because it hits harder because they're not using nukes and lasers and bombs and whatever else. To everybody out there listening, if this episode, if you've seen it and it unsettles you, good. It means you're still you. You're not a hive mind. You still got individuality. That's
question
my
thing.
final thought on Pluribus season 1, episode 1. This is just episode 1. We're gonna do the rest of these as we go,
Mm-hmm.
and this show does get way more entertaining. Hang on, the first episode might be a little slow, but realize they are telling a story. It's not for your dumbed down audience. This is for the people who want to sit there and not scroll on their phones and actually experience something that's worth experiencing. It will make you think outside of your own box and bubble, even though some of the thoughts will put you in a bubble and isolate you. It's wild. I love these kinds of shows that kind of make you bend your brain a little bit, you know, make you think about it. What about you? You got anything else before we get out of here?
I completely agree that and I will say this probably 1,000 more times on this show. If you're a listener and you're going to be listening every show, I will say that things like this to me are what art is really all about. So whether it's in television shows or movies or when we create anything, we are reflecting back to us what is the human experience, right? So I love movies that really do that. TV shows, really well done TV shows like this. And like I said, Severance is the same kind of deal. It's the same kind of, let's really sit and think about what is morally aligned with myself, with what I believe or what I think the world should look like. Because that's what it did for me to watch even just this first episode. And by the way, I couldn't watch just the first episode. When you watch the first episode, you're ready to just go right ahead and play on that second episode, which we're going to talk about next time. But you're sitting there questioning, what do I think about this? What are my values, right? That's what art should be all about.
I love that. If you want to hear more conversations like this, follow us, subscribe to us. We appreciate it. We truly do. At Parallel Frequencies Daily. Until next time, Just Blane and Coco. We'll see you next time.